Yo guys, welcome back. First, I want to apologize. I actually recorded the rest of this video with my camera off, not realizing it, so you won't get to see this gorgeous face for the entire video, just now in the intro. Today, we are doing a mid-season 3 update to our meta weapons build guide, something that I started doing on the channel a while ago that I've noticed a lot of people appreciate, so we're going to keep it going. Today, we're going over a total of 10 weapons, some being DPS kings, some stat sticks, and some great utility weapons, with one honorable mention at the end. We will not be showing any Descendant builds in this video. I would just refer you to search on my channel for those, and I will also put some down in the description for direct links to those. But we will cover the weapons, the cores, the substats, the mods, and the arcade tuning here. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's start this out with Restored Relic. Easily the best mobbing weapon in the game, and also I would say one of two must-have weapons for everyone. The other weapon we will cover next. This is going to be great for every Descendant, but specifically Serena, Glay, and Enzo. This really shines. The substat and core setup is going to be the same for everyone. You're going to want to go triple fire rate and 2 element matching the content you're doing. For example, I have Restored Relic like this, but everyone has a different element rolled in the substats and the cores. And for your substats, we're going to go with our element, explosive attack, and then our 2 multi-hit substats with damage and chance. Now, as far as module setup, everyone but Glay is going to want to use something like this. And then your last slot with your element, you just catalyze for everything, and you'll be able to flip-flop that for whatever content you're doing. As far as arcade tuning, you're going to want to go this route for everyone but Glay. This is on Serena, so we are able to take advantage of defense neutralization. But unfortunately, with Glay, we're not able to do that. So we're just going to want to build into firearm attack, and we don't have to worry about the mag size here. I'm sorry, the ammo, the rounds that you can carry here with Glay, because that is not relevant for her, because she has infinite ammo and it can infinitely fire for 10 seconds as well. So Last Dagger in the second spot here, and one of our 2 must-have weapons. Restored Relic, Last Dagger. Anybody ask me, Sen, I'm a new player, returning player, what do I need? Go get these 2 guns. They are a must-have. We're going to have 2 different setups here when it comes to cores mostly. This is going to be our full fire rate setup, where we'll be taking advantage of firing Fiesta in our mods, and that's what this is going to look like. Substats here are going to be the same on both though. And then for your mods, like I said, firing Fiesta, we do have Overwhelm here, because we're mostly focused on Greg here and Purge, but you can do something else like Tenacious Hunter or Ultra Precision Strike if you like. This is mostly just going to be your Greg Purge setup. Now for our other, this is going to be built into some mag, and this is going to be for more of a mob clearing setup. So we have taken 1 fire rate core and removed that, and then put in a mag core. So as far as our mods for more of a mag setup on a Last Dagger for mob clearing, we don't really change too much here. We're using Firing Fiesta at a lower level enhancement than our other Firing Fiesta, so we don't have to worry about those interfering with each other. We can proc this one before we get to a boss, switch to our Greg Dagger, and we'll be fine and not have to worry about it being on cooldown, which will really mess up our boss fight. And we're taking out a ultimate mod here, because most of them are about hitting weak points, and in mobbing, you can hit weak points, but you will not always. So we're going to be able to take better advantage of something like multi-piercing trigger for the multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage. As far as a arcade tuning setup for something like that, it's going to be very similar to what we had for our Restored Relic. Now, I will cover a Glay setup for more of a bossing situation. We'll be using Sharp Precision Shot here and Ultra Precision Strike, and then our 2 element mods, Weak Point, Critical Hit Damage, 1 Fire and Attack mod, and then a Fire Rate Up mod. And then your arcade tuning for Glay with a Last Dagger is going to look something like this. We're not building into multi-hit at all. We're getting Weak Point, Firearm Critical Hit Rate, Firearm Critical Hit Damage, and then, of course, tons of firearm attack wherever we can get it. There is, of course, another setup here with 2 daggers and the new Void Abyss boss, Lava Citadel. I'm not going to cover that specifically here because it'll extend the video very long. I will refer you to a video I recently made about Frostwatcher where we do cover that setup. So the link for that will pop up now. Next up will be Python, which has become the star of Wall Crasher now. ever since the Serena fix, something else that I recently covered on my channel. We will have that video come up in the corner, but we will cover the Python here. Since it is the best gun for Serena and a wall crasher, to me, it's going to take the third spot. We are building into Toxic, Firearm Attack, and then Fire Rate. Your other two cores are going to be Quality of Life here. And then for your substats, you're going to want your element being Toxic, your multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage, and then weak point damage. Now, as far as our mods, we're using multi-hit induction, and then we're building into Firearm Attack, weak point, Toxic. We're taking expand weapon charge because we do need a bit of a bigger mag here, so we're not constantly dashing, doing more shooting, wasting less MP, and then 2 multi-hit mods. As far as our arcade tuning, pretty normal here for Serena. We're building into multi-hit, we're building into Firearm Attack, and then we're going with defense neutralization for our mutant cell. Next up is Ancient Knight. Definitely a Serena specific gun, but this is a world of Serena, so anything meta is probably going to involve her. Not my fault. I'm sorry I don't make the game. So for your setup here, you're going to want 2 element cores, 2 firearm attack cores, and then a fire rate core. And for your substats, your 2 multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage, weak point damage, and then your element attack. As far as a module setup here, we're going to have 2 weak point mods. We're going to have 2 multi-hit mods. We're going to have our 2 ultimate mods being multi-amplification, multi-hit induction, fire rate. We're going to have our element. We're going to have our 1 firearm attack mod being charge amplification, and then expand weapon charge here for the bigger mag. Just like Python, we don't want to be dashing too much. We want to be able to shoot for a decent amount of time, reserve our MP, and get as much damage out as possible. Then arcade tuning for that is going to be the same as we did here with Python. Defense neutralization, building into multi-hit, and as much firearm attack as we can get with some HP. And then at the number 5 spot, and ending our DPS weapons before we get into like utility style weapons, is going to be Albion Cavalry. We're going to be building this with double fire rate, double chill, then multi-hit damage for our cores, for our substats, both our multi-hit substats, firearm attack, and firearm critical hit damage. Now, for a boss setup, we're going to be focusing more on weak point here, and then using the special mod multi-hit induction. But for more of a mobbing setup, I don't change anything about the cores or the substats here, but we're going to try to get more critical hit rate with this and critical hit damage, and not worry about weak point at all, because it's going to be a bit harder to hit weak points when mobbing with this weapon. And then for an arcade tuning, be something like this, build into multi-hit, build into firearm attack, and then if possible on somebody like Serena, we're going to hit defense neutralization. So let's get into our 2 stat sticks. First up is going to be Peacemaker, and we're going to cover specifically on Valby. Triple sprint cores, boom, that's that. If you want to roll your substats, I would suggest going with a mag size for her 4th ability, which is basically what the build is going to be for. And I did not build this out because this is all you need. You need mag, you need fire rate, you need sharp precision shot, similar to somebody like Freyna. Then for our other stat stick, of course, is going to be Secret Garden. We're going with triple sprint speed, firearm critical hit damage. Then in your substats, firearm attack, rounds per magazine, firearm critical hit damage, and firearm critical hit rate. Critical hit rate here is pretty important because a lot of times we're using this embossing and we're trying to proc hyper focus. So we want to get that crit rate as high as possible. So right now with somebody like Nell, we're at 90% critical hit rate, which is going to be more than enough for shooting the boss and procking hyper focus. I personally run spray and pray on this. Brisk walk is always a must, and then your 1 slot for element to match whatever you want. But this is a stat stick, so you're most likely just using this to proc hyper focus, or using this to proc something like your enhanced focus rounds. Now let's get into some utility weapons. Number 1 right now being Clairvoyance with Viessa. We're going with a lot of charge gain speed here to keep the unique ability up. So we got 2 beam rifle charge gain speed cores. Then we have chill attack. It is a chill weapon. We're using it on Viessa in situations where the enemy is weak to chill. Nice thing about this is you can put 2 sprint speed cores as well. And then for your substats, chill attack, firearm attack, critical hit damage, and then I just have a faction here because this was an old weapon that I used for Purge and I never changed that. Now as far as a setup for running this, you're going to want spray and pray, you're going to want super cooled plasma, you're going to want mag, critical hit rate if you're trying to use something like hyper focus, once again, that's going to be very, very important. And then we have an element and then super conductivity charge for your beam rifle charging speed once again. Another great utility weapon, once again, also for keeping hyper focus up, but for somebody like Sharon as well, is going to be Kingsguard Lance. We're building into a ton of fire rate here. Element firearm attack mod of your choice for whatever you're fighting. I have this one specifically set up for Purge, so we are building into Chill and Legion of Darkness, critical hit damage, firearm attack. Then for a module setup, very similar to the rest of our utility weapons, we are building into crit rate to proc hyper focus. Then we have our element, brisk walk, firearm attack, and then of course a fire rate mod. Then the last of our weapons, which is going to be another utility weapon, specifically for Serena though, is going to be Wave of Light. Although the build does not matter too much on here, fire rate's going to be important, maybe weapon change speed as well, because you're switching to this, firing it to get your MP back up, and then going back to your main weapon. Then as far as a setup for mods, we're going to use Payout. We're going to use Multi-Hit because Multi-Hit does help proc the MP gain faster. Then we're building in the weak point, firearm attack, firearm critical hit damage, and fire rate. Now, we do have Frostwatcher as the honorable mention, a weapon I just made a video about, so I refer you to that for further builds with this for somebody like Haley, Viessa, and Serena in Lava Citadel, but we will cover the Glay setup here, which is pretty much a setup when it comes to the cores and substats that's going to transfer to most of those builds besides Haley. We're doing double fire rate, firearm attack, and then chill attack for our element, and then weak point damage, our element chill attack, multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage. And then for our arcade tuning for this, specifically for Glay, we're going to be building into multi-hit chance and then firearm attack. And that covers everything for an updated meta weapons build guide. Any questions or suggestions about the builds, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe is appreciated. Thanks, guys. Peace.